Hey guys, welcome to Big Law's Official. It's the last of our World's Strongest Man reviews. We've got the final, just finished watching it on Channel 5. Liz and Uncle Loz ready to tell you our thoughts.
Liz?
Elizabeth. Anyway, to World's Strongest Man. We just had the final. I really enjoyed this actually, way more than the heats. It was a great list of athletes. Do you want to go through them?
Yes, let's. So in the final we had Mr. Brian Shaw representing the USA, Adam Bishop representing Great Britain, Ivers Schmagslis representing Latvia, Kevin Ferris representing the USA, Graham Hicks representing Great Britain, Luke Richardson representing Great Britain, Jerry Pritchett representing the USA, Tom Stoltman representing Great Britain, JF Caron representing Canada, and finally Alexei Novikov representing Ukraine.
So you remember when this was all happening?
Yes.
And we
were watching it on spreadsheets.
Watching it on spreadsheets. We did our predictions and stuff.
We did.
How did you feel watching it today? Did you enjoy it? Was there things that, obviously, when you're following along on the spreadsheet, it's hard to really understand.
What
you see results and it can be a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Obviously, seeing things, it makes it a bit more understandable.
The clarity. Yeah.
But there was some brilliant performances.
There was. I thought it was a great final. I mean, I thought it was an exciting final to watch by a spreadsheet because there were a few inconsistent performances. Obviously, there was, I mean, we'll go into it in detail, but Tom on the Hercules Hold, JF on the log, things that really switched things up at points. Yeah. So it was an exciting final. I really enjoyed it, actually.
Well, I did too. And I think the fact that the big three, shall we say, from last year weren't competing, actually made it exciting.
It did, more exciting in some ways.
And that's not to say, I mean, it's going to be really good next year when, say, you know, Lissis and Kiliashkovsky are both back in the mix.
Yeah.
But this younger, fresher generation, if you like, with a few older gents that seem to be just getting better and better, it's making for some exciting competitions.
It really is.
And, you know, the amount of people that were saying, oh, Novikov only won this because it was light and it was about speed. When you actually watch him, he was a worthy winner.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've been very critical of like people's deadlifts in the past and stuff like that. But when you watch this, the 18-inch deadlift that they did in the final, he broke the world record on it. He broke the world's strongest man world record.
Yes, Tom McGee's record.
When you compare Tom McGee doing it, the bar they used at World's Strongest Man this year didn't bend as much as the bar back when Tom was doing it.
And the bending bar is easier, I'm guessing?
It's easier because the weight stays on the floor for longer. So they get even higher up before the weight kind of comes in onto their back.
I've never bent a bar, so...
But we'll start with the first event, which was, they called it a medley. Basically, it was a yoke with an annoying anvil to just slow you down a little bit before you get to the yoke.
Yeah.
But it actually cost Tom Stoltman a few points.
It did.
He looked a bit clumsy the way he picked it up, if I'm totally honest. He didn't get like a safe pickup. I think because he's so good at just picking up objects.
Scooping things up.
And he actually dropped the anvil, which was...
surprising with Tom's massive arms, you know?
And it cost him a good couple of seconds.
Yeah. I
don't know how many places it would have cost him, but at least maybe 2.
We worked it out probably 2, based on how long it took him
to get back up. And what you have to admire was the speed he kind of got back up to.
Yeah, that was... It was very
He was well behind JF after making that mistake, and actually ended up catching JF up and beating him.
Over the line, yeah.
But the first person to go in this, and it wasn't a guy who had a great performance in the heats, it was Adam Bishop.
Yeah.
And he absolutely blitzed this event.
He did. Adam was very good. Adam's great at yoke, though, isn't he?
He is. He's always been good at yoke.
He's good at loading as well. So, you know, running with weight, moving with weight, this was always going to be
these events in the final, much, much better for him. And what a start with you know, winning that, and then the deadlift being the next event, another favourite of his. Yeah. That was a great start. But we'll go quickly through... Should we go through the top 5 on this one?
Yeah, can do. So in first place in this event then, obviously we just said it was Adam Bishop. In second place, Alexei Novikov. No surprises there. He's known for being...
He's fast.
And like he made a couple of mistakes on the yoke. He dropped it, didn't he?
He actually ended up going to the side of the course and like bashing the wall a little.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. He did go down as well. So it shows how quick he is.
Do you think maybe that was nerves a little bit?
Do you know, I don't think it was nerves. He doesn't come across as a really nervy type of person. What he does come across is like a bull in a china shop at times. And I don't mean this in a bad way. He takes risks.
Yeah.
So sometimes they pay off and sometimes they don't. And this year, for pretty much most events, it paid off. But I've seen him as well in comps where he goes in with that 100% effort, and sometimes it doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a Brian Shaw that kind of just goes along at that steady pace to be safe.
Yeah.
Someone like Alexei doesn't. He gives 100%, and he has to.
Yeah, he does.
But when it pays off big time, and he gets the results. And it really good start for Alexei.
So then behind him with 8 points was Jerry Pritchett.
Yeah. Expected, really. Jerry's very good at the yoke.
He's not slowing down, is he? Obviously, he's just turned 40, so one of the oldest athletes there.
Jerry's been in the final a couple of times before, never performed. He's always ended up getting injured in the heats. Or
was he the oldest athlete there?
I would have to in the final. I'd have to check. He might be.
I think he is, because no one else is a master now, and obviously
he wasn't 40 during this competition. He's turned since then, but I think he probably was the oldest athlete. I know JF and Brian are about 39, 38,
39, yeah.
So but Jerry could well be the oldest guy in the final, but getting better.
Yeah.
This performance from Jerry this year.
Yeah.
I think for guys like Jerry and Novikov, actually, the pandemic has been good for them.
Yes.
Because both of them compete an awful lot.
That's such a weird thing to say, but yes, I know what you're saying. It's given their bodies the break that
they've just trained rather than competed all the time. The problem when you compete all the time, you don't actually get better.
No.
And sometimes you're just trying to hang on to what you've sort of built up between comps because you've got so many, scheduled. Whereas they've been able to take breaks when needed. If they've got injuries, they can rehab properly and then train properly for contests. And I think it's really helped guys like that do it. And JF actually as well. JF competes almost weekly in Canada. He does a lot of other comps. So for those kind of guys, I think it's been very, very good. The likes of Brian, who's a lot more methodical and selects his
very
shows,
selective about what he does.
It's kind of normal, although he won't have had so many sponsorship commitments this year and stuff like that. So I think for all the guys... As bad as the pandemic's been, for the guys that could compete and the guys that have their own facilities to train in, it's actually been good in terms of their prep for these big shows.
No, I agree. So just behind Jerry then was Kevin
Ferris done awesome this year.
Yeah, he's been really impressive. He's a nice guy too. I like Kevin.
Good.
You should get him on Talking Strongman.
We will. We'll have a chat.
Kevin, if you're watching, this is an official invitation.
Liz has invited you, so
yes.
Auntie Liz wants you on the show.
You Auntie Liz me.
And
have I done 5 yet?
We've got Tom Stoltman, actually. Tom Stoltman, even with the mistakes, still getting in the top 5 on this event. So I really think, give Tom another year or two, he's going to be unbelievable.
Tom's just got a couple, right now, Tom is a little bit event reliant in terms of there's a couple of events, as we will see later, that can really mess things up for him. But he's so good. 3 event wins.
3 event wins.
Out of 6 events. Nuts. Yeah. And Tom's really coming into his own now.
And the thing with Tom is he goes away and he does get better.
He does.
He's not like someone that just... Some people have weaknesses and they just don't go away and work at them.
Yeah.
Tom will work at them. He'll get better at them. I truly believe he's going to be the world's strongest man.
No, I agree.
And in the not too distant future.
I'd buy a big hat and eat it if he doesn't.
And how good would it be to have Luke Stoltman as a hype man?
Oh man, well I was saying to you, if I had Luke shouting at me like that in the gym, I think I could be world's strongest man. I could do incredible things.
I'd be okay for Luke to be training you, but it's a long commute.
It is a long commute, but I think it's worth it. And then for the ass slap at the end.
Oh man, moving on.
Should we, on a slightly more somber note, obviously, Paul Graham Hicks.
Yeah, that was gutting to see actually. Graham obviously getting to the final for the first time, probably the strongest he's ever been right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, event number 1 goes and tears his bicep, and I'm not sure if he did it on the yoke or on the anvil. I'd need to speak to him and kind of find out for sure. But it's an unusual event. Like the yoke's an unusual one to tear your bicep on.
Yeah, I was asking you, could it be that maybe the pickup was wrong? There was too much strain on his arm.
The fact that they had to do the anvil first, so they weren't kind of getting themselves set. You're trying to rush once you you're trying to get in as quick as you can and get off because it's a race. So you may not set up as well as you might do if it was just the yoke.
Yeah.
So that could have well been an issue for that. But you just don't know. It could be a knock-on effect from some of the events in the heats. There was that he was a log group actually, wasn't he? But
he was a log group.
The stones even they are very bicep heavy. So dehydration can be a factor. There's many factors, but obviously sad to see that, because
very sad, because
he's in great shape right now.
I know, and I've always wanted to see how Graham could do in a final.
Some really good events, like
the log
a lot of people would have won. There's no
I agree,
arguing with that. Anyway, deadlift was the next 18-inch deadlift. Originally it was called like a silver dollar deadlift.
Yes.
They used to use American silver dollars, and it's
the square sort of tanks almost.
That's right. And then Tom McGee set this record with cheese.
Calibrated cheese.
Well, I'm not sure how accurate you can be with cheese, but this setup was nice. The Rogue equipment is really nice, actually. They make lovely kit, and it was good seeing a lot more head-to-head events actually in the final than we had.
That's what we really missed in the heats, I think.
But this setup on the deadlift, nice looking deadlift. Like I said, the bar was, although it flexes, there's so much weight on there, it was stiffer than the bars they used back in the 80s to set these original records. And that's not taking anything away from those guys, but it's just fact. You go look at those videos, the pictures of Tom McGee with the 18-inch deadlift, it's bending. And I've criticised some of the guys with straps and stuff like that, but when you watch it this year, they were nowhere near as bad as I've seen in the past.
Yeah. And it was impressive lifting, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's just, we can make up all the excuses you want. We can kind of make excuses for why people did well, why people didn't. The fact is, these guys pulled some monstrous numbers. Now, we talk about these guys, it's only a running race. This was about lifting the most weight you could. Novikov lifted the most weight, and he looked like he could do more.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was no hitch. You
had Jerry Pritchett there, one of the absolute best deadlifters of modern time. You got JF Caron there, who's an incredible deadlifter. We all know what he's done. Adam Bishop, an incredible deadlifter.
Brian Shaw,
the list goes on of fantastic deadlifters. But those three particularly that I picked out first are not just great deadlifters, they're great 18-inch deadlifters.
They're great at all deadlifts, aren't they? They're great for reps, they're just good at everything deadlifting.
And Novikov beat them all.
Yeah.
We can all say what we want. The guy went out there and pulled the most weight. You go and shake the man's hand. Someone who was excellent like that was Magnus Ver.
Yes.
People would say, Magnus Ver's not the strongest. When it came to the competition, he'd go and beat them on the squat or the deadlift.
You know who also could do that was Marius Pudzianowski.
He did.
Especially for reps.
For reps, he was unbelievable. But in his prime when he was winning, you can only beat who turns up.
Yeah.
And when you've got all the same guys there, you've got 10 of the strongest guys, he lifted the most weight. End of story. He took the win.
And I'm not convinced that the guys missing could have done more than that. Potentially Thor, but Thor's retired, so he shouldn't really be in the conversation as in the same way that the guys that are
on
injured.
An 18-inch deadlift, there's no way Lissis or Kiliashkovsky beat the top four from this comp.
No, I agree.
Just going on, I've watched them head to head.
Yeah, just going on track record.
Yeah. Lissis is actually better from the floor. On his deadlifts when you kind of compare what he's done in the past. So I don't think he would have been top 5 on this event, and Kiliashkovsky's not a great deadlifter. So
by this standard.
Yeah, like that world's strongest man standard, and that's not me. I think Kiliashkovsky is an incredible strong man.
Of course he is.
But that's just fact when you compare lifts. So Alexei Novikov took the win, 537.5 kilos, a new strongman or world's strongest man record on this lift, he looked like he could do more.
He did, and because there was quite a lot of tying for points.
Those three guys that I mentioned all tied second place.
Yes, so it was quite a big points jump for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, 10 points as opposed to 8 for the other 3.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Brian Shaw and Tom Stoltman tied behind that. That's the only thing with a deadlift. You often get tied points.
Yeah, so it can split the pack. Because what we usually see at Worlds is top 5 or top 4 maybe, and then a bit of a jump down towards the rest of the pack, don't we? But I don't feel like we didn't really have that this year.
No, it was a good competition.
Yeah, it was a good even spread of points, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, event number 3 in the final was the Keg Toss. Always an exciting one to watch.
I love a Keg Toss.
You do?
Not to do, obviously, but to watch. It's an exciting event to watch.
It's a great, explosive, fast, event. And it's one of those events that it's so easy to do the smallest mistake, even when you're really good at it. And we saw this with, I think it was Adam Bishop.
Yes, it was.
Adam was going like a bullet. He was looking really good. I think he was on track for second place. Mm-hmm. And the last keg just clipped the top and it came back down. And that effort that you put into when you've got a kind of doing a throwing event, it's a very dynamic, explosive movement.
Yeah.
You lose power quickly. And then he made a couple more attempts and failed to get it over. Eventually, he kind of composed himself and he did get it over the bar, but he by that time lost a lot of time. Whereas if that 8th one went straight over, I think he would have been in second place.
Yeah, definitely. Jerry as well, he had a bit of a hard time with it, didn't he? Bless him.
Yeah, this was not Jerry's favourite event, and I think he could be good at this event. He's got all the tools.
Yeah.
It might just be lack of practice. When you watch Jerry throw each keg, they were all over the place.
Yeah,
like you watch the wobble of the keg, whereas the guys that do it effectively, and you can tell they trained it, it's just a smooth motion.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he just doesn't train it that much, but with his back power, he's fairly tall. I think he's more than capable of coming back and being better at it.
Definitely.
It's an event that with training you do get better at. I remember I was rubbish at it to start with, and then I trained it quite a lot. And I got better.
You trained it like after you retired, didn't you? And you're like, oh God, I'm good at this now. Damn.
I'm not saying
sign me up for something.
I'm not saying I would be beating these guys, but it's one of those events that the more you practice it, the better you get.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought? Try and turn up to World's Strongest Man without training an event.
Wow.
Anyway.
What madman would do that? So, who was top 5 in the keg toss then?
So, Tom Stoltman absolutely just blitzed it, doing all 8 in 20.05 seconds, really fast time. And I believe JF Caron coming in second.
He was second.
Just a fraction of a second slower.
Yeah.
That was the times recorded for JF was 8 in 20.31.
So, yeah, fraction.
So that's close. And then you've got Brian Shaw doing all of them in 21.75. Always a good event for Brian, this. And again, I've got to say, Brian, a couple of years back, would have probably taken a couple of seconds off that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his result. 2014, yeah.
I believe it was around the 16, 17 second mark.
I think you're right. But that was 6 years ago. It's a long time, isn't it? And
he's still a great strongman. World-class strongman.
Yeah.
He's a fraction off his best.
Yeah.
And a fraction off your best, he's still one of the best strongmen in the world. But you can see that age is catching up.
Yeah.
On these type of events when you compare what he's done at his best, and obviously the deadlift is down on what his best is, so still an incredible athlete.
And when you look at that lineup, how many were there 6 years ago? Not many. Jeff Caron and Jerry Pritchett and Brian Shaw, I believe, was it.
Yeah,
so
that's it. All new guys, all youngsters that are kind of coming through. But almost all of the guys managing to do all 8 as well.
Yeah, it was impressive. Who was behind Brian? Alexei Novikov. Behind Brian.
And you could tell Alexei was happy with that. He was a little bit slower, so his time was 26, so that was the first kind of drop off in terms of speed. But the one that really could have been a lot higher, and it was Adam Bishop. He ended up only getting 4 points in the end. I really think he could have taken 9 points in that event, maybe 8. He was up there with the likes of the top 2.
Yeah, because he did really well at Europe's Strongest Man on the keg toss, beating Luke Richardson, who at World's Strongest Man beat Adam. He came in 5th place. Yeah,
both of them well practiced on it, and probably an event that they felt they could score some good points on. So at the halfway point of the contest, Alexei Novikov took the lead. He was in the lead. I think we had Adam Bishop
and JF
tied second place with 22 points, and just behind them by half a point was Tom Stoltman. Next event, Hercules Hold, changes things again. The winner of this was no surprise to me.
No.
I sort of, most of us know how good JF Caron's grip is. Doing more than enough to win with a time of 52.67, I believe.
And just to be clear, I know they mentioned it in the commentary, but we still see comments about it. They do measure the guys for this, don't they? And adjust the chains accordingly, so everyone's got the same distance, if you like. So
the pillars are at the same angle for each person.
Because obviously the closer in it is, if you've got little arms, it's going to be much lighter, isn't it? You've got these tiny little
so they've got chain links, and everyone's measured up beforehand, so they have to get tested on the kit.
Yeah.
But JF Caron taking the win. Kevin Ferris?
Was Kevin in second
I'm pretty sure Kevin was, yeah.
Sorry, Kevin.
and you actually picked Kevin out to be really... You knew from previous comps how good his grip is. Yes. Really good performance there from Kevin.
Brilliant.
And Jerry Pritchett taking third. The big sort of negative, I guess, from this one was Tom Stoltman.
Yes.
And this was the event that cost him his chance of winning.
Last place.
I don't believe the stumble on the first event was, I think maybe could have picked up 2 points.
Yeah, but Novikov won by 3.5 points overall, so that wouldn't have changed it. But that and just a couple of places on the Hercules Hold would have made a big difference.
It would have made a huge difference. And I'm pretty sure Tom will sort this. This is not... To be fair, Thor had the same issue. Okay. Thor's grip wasn't his best asset when he started out, and he trained it and he got better and better, and I'm convinced Tom will go and do the same. There's no reason to, it's not like he's got little diddy hands that he's going to struggle.
Yeah,
there's no obvious reason.
Always going to be a problem.
I think give him a year of training, he's going to come back, he'll put 20 seconds, 30 seconds on that time. Yeah. He's more than capable of it. And I'd like to say it was just one of those things, but his grip has not been good on a number of competitions. And that being said, his grip was great on the farmers. So it's only when he does Hercules Hold.
Yeah, but moving with weight in a farmer's, it's different, isn't it? I mean, Mark is much better at the Hercules Hold than he is at farmer's walks. Yeah.
So I'm convinced he's going to be awesome at it. It's just one of those things. He's still a young man. I know. I know he's got experience now, but I can't see it being an issue for him in a couple of years.
I think he's just been unfortunate that they've used the Hercules Hold in a number of Giants Live competitions these past couple of years.
Obviously maybe not for Tom. I like that they've brought the grip and the Hercules Hold back. I think
for years it wasn't tested. No. Between 2014 and 2018, we didn't really see grip events at all. But then suddenly it's all come back.
Yeah, and I think it's a great event, and it's just that bit of variety on some of the others, and obviously it throws events up a bit because the grip strength is a different type of strength as well. Definitely. So I like watching it. But those are the top three on the Hercules Hold. I believe Mark Felix went for the world record while he was out there, but didn't get it. And to be quite honest, when you're sort of knocked out of a competition,
where's the motivation?
Exactly.
It must be a bit hard.
And like I said, I mean, I wasn't there. I haven't seen Mark's attempt, but me personally, once you're knocked out of a comp, you just kind of want to go home and chill out. So I'm sure we'll see Mark doing the Hercules Hold again very, very soon. But this was all about JF Karan taking the win and putting himself into joint first place overall with Alexei. I should point out, Alexei, I think he was fifth or fourth?
He came fourth. No. Yes, fourth.
So I should point out that Alexei came fourth on this, another solid performance. He's been so consistent. Every event he's scoring big points.
Just proves that grip isn't about age, is it?
So we moved on to the fifth event, which was the log medley, starting with 130 odd kilos up to a 400 pound log, which was the last one. We have seen heavier than this before on this event. This was the same kind of weight they used at Britain's Strongest Man a year or so ago.
Yeah, it's a really hard event though, and we've seen it time and time again. Guys, I don't say underperform, but if you compare it to a log for reps, we don't see the same sort of performances, do we? Guys struggle with the
I have a theory on this, and I've seen it before, and I saw it with this final. I think people make the mistake of either trying to go too fast on the first few by trying to one motion the logs. Now, unless you're like a Zadrunas or an Eddie Hall that has ridiculous pressing power and can just monster every single weight up in that manner, I think if you're someone, if it was me, I would use the same technique on every single log. And taking myself as an example, I'd probably be looking at this as a fast 4. I'd be thinking, right, get 4 done fast and effectively, and then have a crack at the fifth.
Yeah, because any time they make up with the one motion, they lose later on.
The two guys that this was kind of probably obvious with, and I could be totally wrong, but I've seen it before. If you take Adam again and JF Karan, both of them try and one motion the first few logs, which is fine. But my thinking is that if you're then going to change your technique halfway through, you're teaching yourself a motor pattern, and then you're having to try and change that pattern again. So they'll one motion, and both of the time, by the time they both got to the third log, Adam tried to one motion, it couldn't, and then had to get back to push pressing and missed it again. before he then managed to compose
Suddenly
himself.
you've got 2 failed attempts, and it's just as hard and just as draining as actually pressing it twice, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's having to do 7 logs, if you like.
Yeah,
because every time you miss it, that's effort that you've put in.
Yeah.
So I prefer to be really efficient, make sure I get the technique the same on every single log, so you're warming your body up for the heavier ones. And I tell people I coach this all the time. You know, if you're doing a push pressing session, or you're a jerker, or whatever your competition way of lifting is, on that session, do all your warm-ups in that manner.
Yeah.
If you're doing a strict pressing session another day, that's fine. But don't strict press, then change to... Because you're not warming up your whole body in that movement. So, although it is a quicker way to one motion, unless you can do it with all of them, I think it's smarter to try and kind of, maintain that solid technique. And I've used that before and beaten a lot of better pressers than me.
No, yeah, you have. Yeah,
but
figured that.
I could be talking out of my ass as well.
And sometimes it's easy looking from the outside.
And JF said he went dizzy.
He was lightheaded.
The brightness can affect you. Kind of looking up at the sky. There's many factors when you're outdoors doing a log lift. But I just picked that up from sat here watching. We had. It would have been great to see Graham on this. I think he would have absolutely destroyed it.
Would have been nice to see Luke Stoltman on it as well.
It would have been nice to see Luke on it, and I've got to say, I sort of went into Tom a bit on his grip. Tom's improvement on his log, absolutely incredible. Winning this event, and he had to go first, by the way, on his own. So he went first, just blitzed through it, did all 5 logs in the fastest time. That's a tough thing to do, going first, and
not seeing anyone else, how they cope with it, how fast.
And when you think how tall Tom is, and you watch him a couple of years back, his log was not his best lift.
No.
I think training with his brother is definitely paying off, and he's now probably one of the best log lifters in the country.
Yeah.
If not the world.
Wow. He won the event at Worlds. So.
Yeah. And there's a lot of guys that are 200 plus kilo log lifters that fail to get all the logs in this event. Anyway, quickly run through the positions. Tom Stoltman taking first on the log.
Yeah.
Then we had Jerry Pritchett.
Yes.
Jerry Pritchett was so Tom and Jerry were the only 2 guys to finish all the logs.
Jerry's log was great in the heats as well. He won the event, didn't he, with 9 reps?
He was actually, he was going against Novikov, wasn't he? And he was actually behind.
Yes.
Then I think Novikov couldn't do the last log.
Yes.
Jerry kind of just comes
and
pips
in
him.
there, didn't he?
And a similar thing with Brian Shaw and Luke Richardson.
Yes.
So Brian Shaw being very methodical. Not the best. I don't know. He was kind of grabbing his wrist. I don't know if he had a bit of an injury or something, but I was expecting Brian to kind of go through this quite comfortably. Didn't happen. Luke struggled with a couple of the early ones.
I didn't expect him
he got
to get
better.
That last one.
Actually,
It was quite. I didn't expect that last one to go. I was like, bloody hell, he did it.
He did. Yeah, no, it was interesting. I don't know if nerves maybe got the better of him in this competition. First time at World's Strongest Man. It's a learning curve, and I've said that so many times, and people have kind of said you don't like Luke and stuff like that. It's totally wrong. I've been in that position at your first World's Strongest Man. It's hard to eat. It's hard to sleep. You're nervous. You're thinking. You're around all these guys. And let's be honest, as good as he is, he's still new to it.
Yeah, of course he is. And he's off the back of a big win. There's a lot of internal pressure there. Like, I have to perform here.
Yeah,
or people are going to say...
When you're sort of the underdog and you're just on the way up, it's a bit nicer.
Yeah.
When you get those big wins and there's pressure on you, it does get harder.
And there should never be pressure on someone at their first World's Strongest Man. It's crazy. But,
yes, but I think he's done brilliantly. I think he's going to learn from the experience.
Definitely.
And,
he did amazing to get into the final at his first
final at World's Strongest Man is better than I did. It's better than Eddie Hall did. It's better than...
Zadrunas?
Yeah. So he's doing well.
Yeah.
At 23 years old, he's doing absolutely awesome. The last event... The Atlas Stones starts at 150 kilos and goes up to 210 kilos, which is heavy. And you've got to think they've done all the heats events. They're tired. It's evening. It's still hot and humid. Stones in these conditions are harder.
It's long days at World's Strongest Man. They would have been at this since about 9 o'clock in the morning.
Probably.
Yeah, definitely.
So Brian Shaw probably putting his best performance in, taking second place, I believe, on the Stones.
Yes, second only to
Tom Stoltman.
Yes.
Who, if you've seen the kind of show, at the end he's there, king of the stones. I think it can't be argued now.
No.
The last year or so he's been so dominant on stones. He's got the heaviest stone ever lifted. His performances in various competitions, he's just breaking record after record.
Yeah.
He is the best stone lifter on the planet right now.
Yeah, definitely. So Tom stones are flawless. It's a thing of beauty.
But we had Novikov, JF Karan actually did all 5.
JF had a great run because
and
he was
he
up
had to
against
do
Tom.
that to get back on the podium.
Oh yes, of
because
course.
I probably should have mentioned he didn't do well on the log.
No.
I know I mentioned his name, but he dropped a lot of points on the log.
He came last on the log, didn't he? He took 9th.
Yes.
Yes, he did. Yeah. So a bit of a disaster for him.
Considering the position he was in before that, he was joint first. He ended up dropping back down off the podium.
Yeah.
He needed a good run on these, and he did. He delivered. One of the only guys to finish with all 5 stones, and Jerry couldn't get the 5th stone up.
No.
So.
Neither could Alexei.
I know Alexei did a real solid run of the 4.
Yeah.
And I think he was looking around saying, have I done enough to win?
Yeah, and people were shouting at him, you are the world's strongest man. And he's
but it's really hard in that situation.
To trust people.
Yeah. You're in my head, I'd be like, I want to get this stone up. And you could see he wasn't sure if he needed to do it. And then you kind of get distracted. And he had an attempt, he failed to get it. He was so close.
Yeah.
And then the panic can kick in a little bit. But I think he knew that it was
probably
enough.
Fine, yeah.
And it was a fast 4, very efficient on those 4. Alexei Novikov, new world's strongest man, deserved it.
And quite an emotional end. I was nearly crying at the end. It was so nice seeing. I said to you, I love it when they cry, and I don't. But it's nice to see that human side of them. We know they're humans, obviously, but especially, and I really hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but some of the Eastern Europeans, they can be very serious at competitions. Obviously there's the language barrier, so it's harder to be more sociable, but it's nice
when you
to
see how much it means to them.
And
the Stoltmans as well, just seeing their interview afterwards.
Luke has me in stitches, but he has me in tears as well, because
how can you not just love those guys?
I know, that was really emotional. That was really nice to see.
And
how happy he was at the top.
They do it. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Alexei because he deserved a champion, but obviously we're British, they're British. Let's.
We want to see the British guys do well. But I was so happy for Alexei too.
I was too, but I do believe Tom. He's promised his mum. I mean, his mum passed away, 4 years ago. He promised her he's going to win. I totally believe he will do it.
Yeah, I do too.
When he does, Luke is going to be there bawling his eyes out.
As will we all.
But that's it. World's Strongest Man over for 2020. It's been
JF in 3rd place.
Oh, sorry. JF did do enough to...
Your friend
very, very quickly, give us the rundown of the positions.
So the rundown in the end then was Alexei Novikov obviously in 1st place, Tom Stoltman in 2nd place, JF Karan in 3rd. Then in 4th we had Jerry Pritchard.
Jerry's had a great year.
Yeah. Really happy for Jerry.
I'm sure he probably wanted to get on the podium, but...
Of course.
4th place is the best place to finish anyway.
Well, you think he's only been he's only been in the final twice. 2015 he almost killed himself getting into that final, and he was just injured throughout. 2014 it just wasn't a great year for him. Then in 5th place we had Brian Shaw, as you predicted, and got a lot of shit for. But still, some still good performances from Brian there.
He's still a great strongman.
6th place we had Adam Bishop. Obviously, Adam had a really blistering start, and then just a couple of small things.
But just look, this shows how events are so important for strongman as well. Adam did not do well in the heats. So we can beat around the bushes. He didn't do well in the heats, but in a different set of events in the final, he performed outstandingly, and that's the great thing, and it's the exciting thing about strongman. Different events cause different results.
And that's why you can never just look at a list of athletes and say that one will win. And I know I'm being a hypocrite because sometimes I do it. Moving on quickly then, we had Kevin Ferris in 7th place.
A great year for him as well.
Yeah, Ivers Schmaugstelis in 8th place. Luke Richardson in 9th place, and then obviously Paul Graham Hicks didn't get to finish and was in 10th place.
So that's it, all over.
All done for the year. Now what are we going to do?
Well, it's going to just be exciting build up to next year.
Yes. So what's the first competition next year?
It's really hard to say right now. The situation. I know Giants Live have a number of competitions, so hoping for April time. The Arnold has been delayed.
Yes.
to later in the year.
Some exciting stuff coming with World's Ultimate Strongman.
There is some exciting stuff coming with World's Ultimate Strongman.
We'll do a video about that soon.
But yeah, it's going to be an exciting year. Hopefully, all the other guys that have been injured this year will be back.
Yes, that'd be nice.
And hopefully things improve worldwide, and we can get back to crowds being at competitions and exciting, events. And it's been a hard year, I think, for so many people, and obviously for the strongman as well. But I'm glad World's Strongest Man put this event on for the guys. I think it's important. Other sports are still going ahead. Why shouldn't strongman? But yeah, I think the last word has to go to Alexei Novikov.
Definitely.
24 years old. He is within a couple of days, apparently, just outside of Jean-Paul Sigmarsson as being the youngest ever winner of World's Strongest Man. Now, there's a bit of no one knows for sure.
It's hard to verify because there's nowhere is the exact dates of when that Worlds took place or what date the final took place.
If we could find that out, we'll know for sure. But
know.
Apparently, World's Strongest Man put up that he was a few days older. So, 24 years old, though, World's Strongest Man. We have so many great youngsters. We've got 2 great youngsters still coming back next year. It's going to be an exciting few years.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Let us know in the comments who you think will be 2021 World's Strongest Man champion. I know I'm going way ahead of myself, but I'm already excited.
Who are you picking?
Alexei Novikov. No, I don't know. It's very much going to depend on who's back in time.
I'm picking Tom Stoltman.
Oh, damn. Another forfeit.
Take it easy, guys. We'll speak to you soon. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.